Elise. And my name is Guadalupe Dorado. And we are here with the International Club from Ottumwa High School in Ottumwa, Iowa. We are here today with
Geri Winston.
Byron Winston.
Okay.
We've been married 52 years.
Lucky
We both graduated from Ottumwa High School,
Really?
so we've got a lot to tell you.
We're ready to listen. Okay.
It is. Sorry.
Nice to be with you here today. We would like to start our interview today by asking you guys a few questions.
Okay.
Where were you born?
I was born in Davenport, Iowa.
And I was born in Ottumwa.
He's a year ahead of me. I graduated in 57. He graduated in 56. Okay. Grade school, junior high, and high school. I met up with him in high school.
What do you do for a living?
I'm retired from the clinic. I worked for doctors most of my life and in the hospital. And I do gardening, helping, grandkids.
Grandkids.
I have 5 grandchildren, 1 son, and 4 girls. So they keep you busy. I love my grandkids. I'm glad the weather's getting good because I can get outside now.
Yeah.
It's beautiful outside.
Okay, I'm retired.
I'm
But that's just part of the story.
Just a story.
It's really a long story if you want to know history. If you want to know how. The only reason we're able to live the way we live, because I had good parents, she had good parents. They taught us the skills you need to succeed. She started working as I think she's a junior in high school. Did you start back then as a junior in high school? Went to school half a day.
In the office.
But listen, my wife was raised on welfare. My father worked at John Morale Company, so we started as poor as you can start. But if you're going to make it, it takes work, and you've got to get your education in high school. You got to get it there. There's these people who rip-rap their way through this thing and think you can make it where you can't. I can't show you anybody in Ottumwa that's come here from out of town that is black that's made it. You can't make it. There are no black school teachers. There's no policemen. There's no firemen. There's no councilman. There's only maybe one county person. If Ottumwa was so great and so receptive to integration or whatever you want to say, we ought to be able to get somebody in some position in Ottumwa. But I'm telling you, our mayor talks diversity, but there ain't none here. I don't care what they say. They may let one or two or three people through the gate, but the rest of the people don't have a chance. And another thing here, there's no jobs here, but the young blacks that are here have got to start by monitoring their kids and making sure they get their education. You can't make it today without education. It's going to be impossible. Aside from being a minority or whatever other excuse we can make, but the first thing you got to do is get yourself qualified.
Are you involved in any community activities?
Not really. I volunteer at the hospital, gift shop. I'm in the choir at church, but nothing else.
How have you been involved in the civil rights movement in Ottumwa?
They really don't have a civil rights program here in Ottumwa. For Martin Luther King Day here in the recent years, past 2 or 3 years, they've been having programs and stuff, but there's not a lot about Martin Luther King. And it isn't a state holiday in Iowa. The other states, it's a state holiday and they close the schools, but they do not close the schools here. So we kind of have programs at our church on our own, but it's not as big as some of the other states and cities do.
So, was your family involved in the civil rights movement?
My uncle was. I had uncles involved in civil rights. But
Uncle Joe. Oh, Uncle Roy. It was Roy Winston. He was in the NAACP, and this was back 20, 30 years ago.
And how was he?
We see that head of the NAACP years and years. That's the National Association for Advancement of Colored People, and that was for years and years. He was in that, and he was a deacon at our church, and he did a lot to promote the church. And my family, my family believed in being a Christian, going to church, and doing what's right and wrong. There were no alcoholics in our family. There was no drunkards. There's nobody went to jail. There's just a lot of things that didn't happen in my generation. And the only thing I want to tell you, that's what made it easier for me, because the family had a good name. And when they were looking for somebody that was reputable, that had a good name, then you eliminate a lot of people. And so it's awfully important. Your family is awfully important as the success you're going to have in your life, especially if they can help you. Now, if they can't help you with that, something else, but you can't make it by yourself, so you got to have some help.
And then Geri Winston, he helped the kids get into the YM and YWCA. Blacks were not allowed in there. They could go out at night and swim. He helped get the public swimming pool open to the blacks, where they weren't allowed to go over there. They had their special day. So he did a lot of stuff in the city of Ottumwa to help the black youth be able to get involved in everything around here, because it was segregated back in the 40s, 50s, until he stepped in and kept after the city officials and just people in general to get them to open up to the black children, young people. Canteen, we couldn't go in there and sit. They'd take our sandwiches out. And that was for years and years. No one sat in there. I don't know if we were sitting there in the 50s, didn't we, when we was in high school?
I used to have, I have a hard time sitting down in there now.
So it's changed now, so but it's taken years and years for it to change.
How do you think African Americans are doing in Ottumwa?
We don't have that many here. We're still a minority. The Hispanics are majority. In Ottumwa, I think the whites are second, but we are still a minority.
When I come along and I got my jobs, you get called token because you got your job. Whether you was qualified or whether you didn't. Even though I had to take tests to get my job, some people still tokenized you. And I never did like it, but then if you succeed, well, then you can keep on going. But it's been rough. It's rough getting here. I've worked 38 years. A lot of people think you can come out and work 2 or 3 years and you should be at the top. But that's not the way it works. In my lifetime, I had 3 jobs. One at John Morrell, one at John Deere, and I worked at McWilliams Drug when I was laid off from John Morrell.
What is your happiest memory growing up in Ottumwa?
It's my childhood. When we grew up over by Shaker Field. And there's more discipline back then, too. The kids could be out in the yard, no one would harm you. We'd play within the neighborhood. But any parent in that neighborhood could stick their head out the door and call us in. It's time to come home and stuff. But we'd sled on our streets. We'd ride bicycles. We had a good childhood coming up. And everybody in the neighborhood associated with everybody else. They all grew up together. So it's good memories.
Well, I probably can't pinpoint one. Just, for me, when I was coming up, and I was participating in a lot of extracurricular activities, being accepted was monumental for me. You know, to be able to do the things that I wanted to do without any conflicts, that was I was taught from a young child that just below the Missouri line, there's a problem. Below Iowa line, there's Missouri, and it's a problem. So my parents taught me to, you got to watch what you do and watch what you say. That's. But I have no great memories, no.